Building a great-looking wargaming table does not have to be expensive or complicated. In this video, I will show you the easiest way to build a full wargaming table, focusing only on simple, cheap and beginner-friendly techniques. This table is designed to be modular and playable, making it perfect for historical games like Pillage or Saga. But it can also be used for Warhammer, especially the Old World and Age of Sigmar. And it also makes an excellent base for any Dungeons and Dragons terrain. If you are new to foam terrain or looking for a budget-friendly way to upgrade your tabletop, this project is a great place to start. For this project, I'm keeping things as simple as possible. No 3D printing, no expensive tools, no advanced sculpting. Everything here is easy to find, inexpensive and beginner-friendly. And for your ease, you will find direct Amazon links in the description of this video for all the tools and materials that you will need. And before we get started, I want to give a huge thanks to the Pillage Discord community. Tons of people over there offer me great advice and inspiration for this project. Before cutting anything, let's talk about the layout. I'm building this table as modular tiles so it can be rearranged for different games. I'm keeping the terrain mostly flat, but elevation will be added thanks to other modular pieces. This keeps the table playable and makes movement easy during the games. The basis is a sheet of XPS foam that I will glue to an IKEA table, but you can use any old plank available. For the first step, you will need to cut either a square or a rectangle of the same size as your basis plank. Here, the IKEA table is actually a square of 55 cm. Take your time, go slowly, and make sure to not cut yourself. In the next step, you will use a Sharpie in order to draw directly on the table where you want the roads and if you want a river. To do that, I will give you two tips. First, I will advise you to plan in advance in a separate drawing. And second, I will use Sharpies of different colors in order to draw the different elements. Most of the Wargaming games are using a scale from 28 to 32 mm. For those, I will advise to make roads of 6 cm width and river of 4 cm. To do that easily, you will first draw the general shape of the road, and then at 6 cm from the first line, you will draw a series of dots, and then you will connect those dots. And for the river, you will use the same principle, but with a separation of 4 cm. And if you don't want to draw all the dots, you can simply use a piece of cardboard that will be of the correct size. And as you can see, a table of 60 by 60 cm is not that big. And if you draw too much roads, you will not have enough space for your terrain pieces. So I decided to change my initial layout in order to have some big space for a small village. The river will be crossed with a bridge, but in order to make sure to not create any bottleneck situation during the game, I will make sure to plan ahead some forts from both sides of the bridge. And now it's time to cut the road. Don't overthink this part. Straight cut, simple shapes and clean edges are all we need. If your cuts aren't perfect, that's actually a good thing. Small imperfections add natural texture once everything is painted. A simple hobby knife or cutter will do the trick, but if you have a Proxon handle wire, it will be even quicker. The trick here, in order to speed up the whole process, is to bend the wire in the shape of the road. In my opinion, estimating the depth of the cut with this tool is quite tricky. Therefore, I'm using the left part as a level. And as usual, when you are cutting foam with a hot wire, you are not actually cutting it, you are melting it, and this creates toxic smoke. So make sure to do it in a well-ventilated area, and even better to wear a mask. And again, you will simply bend the wire for the river. And make sure to not cut as deep when you pass over the fords. And don't worry, The bottom of the river does not have to be as smooth as the road. Indeed, those waves will create naturally some water effect. And make sure to keep any leftover foam. We'll use them to create elevation with some modular pieces. The paint job of those modular pieces will be super simple. We'll first start with a basis of grey, and then we'll proceed with several layers of dry brush. In order to do a dry brush, you will simply mix a bit of white in your basis color, and for each layer, you will add more and more white in your mix. I will show you in detail this process a bit later in the video when I will paint the road. And speaking about the road, this is where we make the table come alive. You really don't need texture paste or special products. Cheap materials work just as well for a tabletop distance. And a cheap filler from your DIY store will be the best purchase you can make in this hobby. For the first step, you will simply apply the filler everywhere on the road. And just like that, it's already looking pretty good, but we will improve it even further. For this, you will simply need 4 different sizes of gravel. Those 3 first sizes can be found easily in any decorative store, and for the smallest one, it's easier to find in pet stores. It's actually substrate for fish tanks. And before the filler is fully dry, you will simply apply the gravel, from the biggest to the smallest. The bigger they are, the less you will put. And for the river part, you will do exactly the same thing, but without the filler that will be replaced by a mix of white glue and water. And for the forts, don't forget to glue some big stones made of XPS foam. It would have been actually easier to do it before the step with the gravels. In the next step, we'll make the grass on the table. The technique I will show you is actually something I learned from Noodles Wargames. He also made a more advanced tutorial on how to make a Wargaming table that you will find in the description of this video. Basically, the idea of this ID is to use a railway grass mat, the cheapest that you can find, as a basis for the grass, instead of using a mix of static grass that is quite expensive. You will simply cut the mat to the shape you want, and you will glue it using a mix of white glue and water. I applied some weight on the mat in order to glue it properly to the table, but it was really a bad idea. Every item that I used imprinted its shape into the grass mat. And as you can see in the bottom left part, the part that I glue without any weight was glued even better. In the next step, we'll paint the road. I'm keeping the color scheme neutral, so this table will work for many games. Another nice tip from Noodle is to use wall paint for this step, instead of the usual acrylic tube that is far more expensive. I will do a base coat first, then I will apply some self-made wash, followed by 3 coats of dry brush. And that's it, no advanced technique will be needed. Here you have the result after the first coat. It's another advantage of the wall paint is that it's covered really well. In most cases, you will even have to add a bit of water in order to make it flow properly. Speaking of water, in order to do the wash, you will simply mix some water, a bit of dish soap and some brown paint. And here is the result after applying the wash. And the next step will be 3 easy layers of dry brush. For the first coat, you can simply use the basis beige that you use for the road. The basis of the dry brushing technique is to remove most of the paint from your brush on a towel and try to only hit the highest part of your build without putting any paint into the recesses. For the next layer of dry brush, you will apply a bit of white into the base color. And for each subsequent layer, you will add more and more white into the mix and apply less and less pressure on your brush. And for the last layers, if you have access to a lighter beige, you can use it directly, and for the final layer, you can directly use some white. And this is the final result for the river and the road. As you can see, the quality that we achieved is quite impressive compared to the cheapness of all the material we used so far. Now, if you like the look of your table, you can stop there, but in the next step, we'll try to improve it even better. We'll first start by gluing some static grass directly onto the mat. To do that, you will simply apply some white glue and spread it with some water on your brush or on your finger. And you can apply some static grass directly onto the road. To make it look like really good, we'll have to work with some layers. On the top part, you will see the result after 3 layers of static grass, and in the bottom part, after 1 layer only. If you have access to, you can also add some tuff. And now that the road and the borders are done, we'll make sure to improve the looks of the full mat. To do that, you will randomly apply some white glue on the mat and you will spread it with your finger. And then you will apply a mix of static grass directly onto the glue. Make sure to work in small batch so the glue does not have time to dry. I tested different techniques, and for me stamping the grass directly onto the glue gives the best results. And for the final step, we'll do the water for the river. For this, I will advise you to put your table on blocks and to make sure that it's perfectly leveled. Also, you will want to put a recipient below the river in order to make sure that any liquids that you will pour will not overflow onto your floor. And if you think that this table is perfectly leveled, don't hesitate to tell me in the comments. For the water itself, we'll use the Valero's Diorama FX water texture. It's quite expensive, but honestly compared to pouring resin, it's super easy. Basically, you can use it as it is out of the bottle, you will get some transparent water, but if you want to improve the looks, you can mix it with a bit of blue paint. Be extra careful with the amount of paint that you add, 1 drop is sufficient. Here, as you will see, I have already put too much. It's better to go slowly, because you can always add more into the mix, but it's impossible to remove some. And as this product is quite expensive, you will not want to waste it. In order to get a natural river color, I decided to add 1 drop of green ink, but I'm really not sure it changed anything at the end. And in the next step, you will simply pour it into the river. Be extra careful with the size of your batch. Each layer should be 1 to 3 mm max. If your layer is too high, it will crack while drying. It's not the end of the world, you can still repair it, but it will show at some point. In the next layer, I decided to use a lighter blue in order to improve the looks of the water. It was really a bad idea. With only this small drop, the mix was completely opaque. And again, as this material is quite expensive and it was my last batch, I decided to go anyway. But it's not a problem for you, because like that I will be able to show you how I was able to repair it. At that time, I was thinking this was my last layer, so I used the product directly from the bottle in order to have a clear top. With this product, sometimes it creates some bubble on the surface. You should pop it before it's fully dry. But for this last layer, I decided it will create a nice effect on the water. And to add an effect of running water, I decided to add some Mod Podge directly on the river. If you don't have access to any, you can also achieve this effect with some white glue. Here you have the result I was looking for. Unfortunately, once fully dry, it became completely transparent. And here is the current result before I decided to continue to improve the river. And as you can see, I made a bridge over the river. If you are interested to see how I make it, stay until the end. I did it as a bonus to this video. As the coat of Mod Podge was becoming fully transparent, I had the nice idea to add some white in it. Unfortunately, as usual, I did not test it before and I put too much paint in it. And while here the result is still correct, it was not fully dry. Once fully dry, it was really ugly. I was out of this water texture, but I decided to order a new bottle and to start again with the initial blue that I used. And this time I will not make the same error, I will go slowly by adding a bit more blue if necessary. And honestly, I believe the result of this last layer above the ugly mess of white and glue is really nice. It really gives the impression that there is some movement in the water. And here is the final result for this Wargaming table. It's durable, easy to store, cheap to build, and most importantly, fun to play on. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want more budget-friendly terrain builds, I will see you in the next video. And before I leave you, as promised, this bridge is made of square wooden dowels for the basis and of coffee stirrers for the top. And for the paint job, I simply use several layers of the wash I prepared for the road.